Hey, y'all. It's me, ListinerInspires. So, I am hopping on here to talk about something that had been on my heart and mind since yesterday. I did a little reel, short reel, um, but I realized that I wanted to go deeper with this conversation. And I had did a video a few minutes ago, but my phone is just like, yeah, and so I had to put in Bluetooth so I can really do it better. So you guys can hear me clearer, and it doesn't sound like I'm whispering. But anywho, I am hopping on here because this weekend, well, yesterday I attended a alum barbecue, or you can say like a reunion barbecue, and it was so profound. There were a few moments during the event yesterday that really just spoke to me, and so much so that I was just like on my ride home was just talking to God and just I just felt full, and not full of food, but full of just emotions, positive emotions. And so I wanted to come on here and share because I feel like I'm not the only one that has experienced this or felt this way, and particularly to those of us who've gone through trauma, childhood trauma and abuse. Because the story unfolds. It's like I almost feel like it's a never-ending cycle of unpacking stuff, especially when you address it at a later age. For me, I started the process of healing from childhood trauma abuse in like my 30s, and so that was like 30 years of unpacking things that I had experienced from. I want to say I don't. I want to say from two. That's my earliest memory, and that's this very vague memory, but who knows? It could have been from earlier than that. But what I want to talk about is something that I believe is a real thing, and like I said, I want to dive into that and really research and determine what that looks like. But trauma brain, and what I call that is like not being able to remember things because the brain protects you from those memories because they're too harsh, they're too much for you to handle, or your way of protecting yourself by creating new memories in place of the real ones. For me, I feel like a lot of my memories from my childhood I have forgotten because I just whatever was going on at that time, I was choosing to forget that whole period of time. There are some things I do remember. There are some scenarios and scenes that do I can't remember. And there's some bad parts I remember, and there's some good parts. But I've been having conversations in the last year or two that have caused me to really like be I won't say concerned, but I'm like, kind of like, huh. Like people who are like, for instance, relatives are sharing things. I was having a conversation with my older brother. He was talking about different conversations we had when I was little, when I was 5, when I was 6. Things that he would say or do with me, and he was so excited. I'm like, I don't remember this, and I had to be honest because in the past I was not honest with people. I wouldn't say I remember. I'm like, oh, okay, because I didn't want people to feel bad that I didn't remember the memories they had. And my brother was like, you don't remember that? And I was like, no, I don't. And I wanted to because clearly it was a good memory, but I didn't. And I'm having more and more conversations like that. And yesterday I had a conversation. I actually like I was able to reconnect with a childhood friend. Me and him were like this. We were like, man, he was like, we were just freaking frat, like, and so meeting, like reuniting with him, and us talking about stuff, and him sharing certain memories, and I'm just like, I don't remember that. He's like, you don't remember this, and you don't remember that, and I'm like, no, and I'm just like, wow, and I started to think like, what else do I remember? Because I've had other childhood friends that I've reconnected with or met up with later in life, and they've shared certain stories and things, and I'm just like, really, I don't remember that, and I would feel bad because I don't want anyone to think that they were not memorable enough for me to remember. But I realized that trauma really has effect on our mind more than at least I was really understanding. I knew it affects your heart. I know it affects your how you perceive things, and all that. And in my healing process, when I started my healing journey, there were a lot of negative effects on my emotions and my decision making. And I going through my healing process with therapy and with Christ, I've learned to cope with things differently because I, through experiencing trauma and abuse, have suffered from severe depression, suicidal thoughts, anxiety, to panic attacks, like you name it. And so going to therapy really helped. And I'm in a place where I'm just filled with joy and peace and love, and just I love my life. But now I'm like, maybe it's time for me to start going back into those in the recesses of my mind to remember those things. And so, and previously my prayer had been, I don't want to remember what I don't remember, because I was scared of the things that I didn't remember would undo the healing that I have gone through. Like, it might be too traumatic for me, and I might just go back into this deep dark place I have been before, and I was scared of that, I'm gonna be honest. And so now I'm like, no, I want to remember now. I want to know what I don't know, especially good memories shared with people that were important to me at that time in my life. And yesterday really uncovered that for me, so much so that, like, in sharing some of the information my friend was talking to me about, like, he, a childhood friend, was just like, oh, you really inspired me to do X, Y, and Z. And I was like, really? I don't remember having that conversation with you. And that just goes to show you, I always tell people, like, I was born for this. Like, inspiring people was just, I was born for this. And I've always said that. But then yesterday I realized, like, wait, I literally have been inspiring people since I was little. Then, and it's not the first time but someone from my childhood who I reconnected with has told me, like, you have those talks with me, you would encourage me, you would inspire me. And I would be at I will be just going through so much turmoil inside. And I'm thinking now, like, I was able to inspire you in the midst of all that, which I know was just a gift from God. I don't take the credit. It was a gift from God that was embedded in me, that not only helped me to survive, but it allowed me to help others to see past things that they couldn't see. And this was so encouraging. Like, you guys don't understand. Like, it was so encouraging to be able to hear a point of view of myself from someone else. And then seeing teachers, like my art teacher, who I love dearly because she allowed me to not say anything. Like, like when I first came into the system, I didn't want to talk. I didn't want to say anything. And so I was able to release the pain I went through in art. Ultimately, art therapy. It wasn't called, I don't know if it was called art therapy back then. I'm going to call it art therapy, but I was able to paint and sketch and write poetry. I'm a creative, and so those are always been my outlets of letting out any type of emotion. Especially since then, I didn't like to talk. I didn't want to talk because I didn't feel like I had anything valuable to say. And I was also afraid of the rebuttal or what would happen if I said something that somebody didn't like. And so being in that space again, in the art room, just brought back so many memories of just sitting there painting for hours, sketching. And, her sharing with me, like, you're our success story. I'm just like, just in awe of hearing those words and hearing my other teacher there's like, I always knew you were going to be successful. And I just looked at her like, how did you know that? And I came in broken. I came in just a shell of myself, like barely there at the age of like 13. And she's like, there are some people you can look at and just tell. And that did so much for me. Like, it did a lot. I mean, even when as a child, I was a big dreamer. I had an imagination, and now my imagination, I honestly say, kept me alive because I would dream of worlds where abuse didn't exist. I would dream of worlds where I was loved. I would dream of worlds where I fit in, and I would, play in these make believe worlds for hours at a time to keep me from living in my own world, which was very hurtful and painful. And so. And now as an adult, I don't have to create made up worlds because I am living in a world where I'm loved and appreciated and I'm not being abused. And to hear that as a child, there were adults around me who saw something in me greater than I could see in myself was a blessing. And so I'm just sharing this for anyone who might be struggling with their own memories, or childhood abusive trauma has affected you in a way where you just are still trying to deal with the repercussions of it, the side effects of it. There is hope. There is a future. There is healing. There's all these wonderful things. And I'm encouraged to even take this step further, even get trained more in understanding how trauma affects us. Because I want to be able to, when I'm mentoring, when I'm coaching, when I'm teaching, when I'm workshop facilitating, when I'm writing more books, because there will be more books to come, that I'm not just speaking from a place of my experience, but also from knowledge, from research, from classes, um, from an educated point of view, as combined with experience. Education and experience, I'm realizing, is powerful when you are trying to impact change. So stay tuned. I wanted to just hop on and share this, and I'm excited to see where God is gonna take me on this journey of this part of my healing journey. Because healing is not just a destination you get to; it is a journey. It is a process. So now I'm in the process of remembering those things that my body had chosen to forget, my mind had chosen to forget, and allowing God to take me to those memories, whether good or bad, processing through it, so that I can, remember the good parts of my childhood, and I can have conversation with those who remember me and remember what they're talking about. So stay tuned. I'm excited for this next step that God is about to do. I love you all. Stay blessed. Peace out.